The day I finished the divorce procedures with my wife, a car accident actually sent us straight back 20 years. I originally thought this was an opportunity given by heaven to start a new life, allowing me to completely get rid of this crazy woman who suffocated me for half my life. I didn't expect that same night in a university mixer's private room. I bumped right into her half-smiling eyes. To completely avoid her, I racked my brains to pursue my white moonlight from back then. However, when I saw her with red eyes, the moment she threw herself into the school hunk's arms without hesitation, my heart that should have rejoiced suddenly felt like a piece had been ruthlessly gouged out. Dazzling neon lights flickered in the KTV room. The deafening music made my head. I rubbed my throbbing temples, looking at this group of freshmen, brimming with youthful energy. I was in a daze for a long time before daring to confirm I had really been reborn. Just a few hours ago, I had just walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau with Lou Ryan, clutching that hot divorce certificate in my hand. 20 years of marriage exhausted all the patience and love between us, turning the once starlit eyes into later mutual disgust. Bro, what are you zoning out for? It's time for the blind box drawing segment. My best friend Wong Kong excitedly pushed me, staring intently at the pile of girls' personal belongings handed in on the table. The so-called blind box drawing is where boys randomly pick an item. Whoever's item is picked, you pair up with them to play games tonight. It's actually a mixer blind date in disguise. I followed Wong Kyung's gaze. My heart skipped a beat. The girl sitting on the sofa in the corner, wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans, cold and arrogant facial features, still breathtakingly beautiful under the dim lights. Lou Ryan, I would recognize her even if she turned to ashes. In my previous life, Wong Kong was in this exact segment. When he drew Leo Ryan's roommate's lipstick, from then on he was reduced to being that green tea's super simp, ending up losing both the girl and his money, and committing suicide by jumping off a building, while I, amidst the cheering, picked up Lou Ryan's silver bracelet, starting my tragic 20-year marriage. In this life, I absolutely cannot let the tragedy repeat itself. Watching Wong Kong rubbing his hands, about to grab that fatal lipstick, I was quick, and grabbed his wrist, pushing him towards a pink hairpin next to it. Kyungzi, I think that hairpin suits you well. Take that one. Wong Kong looked confused, but out of trust in me, he obediently picked up the hairpin. I let out a long sigh of relief, thinking that I had finally changed Wong Kyung's fate. Only the last two items were left on the table, a lipstick and a slightly worn red string. To completely avoid Leo Ryan's silver bracelet, I grabbed the red string without hesitation. Su Ching chose the red string. Whose is that? The surrounding classmates started cheering. I looked proudly at Lou Ryan, thinking in my heart how to enjoy the good show of her pairing up with someone else. However, the next second, Lou Ryan stood up slowly. Those deep eyes stared fixedly at me. An indescribable smirk formed at the corner of her mouth. That is mine. Her voice was cold, but it was like a thunderbolt striking my head. I froze in place. My mind was buzzing. What's going on? In the previous life, her token was clearly a silver bracelet. How did it become a red string? Could it be because of my intervention? That caused a butterfly effect. I watched her walk up to me step by step. There seemed to be 1,000 words hidden in her eyes, and seemed to carry a trace of imperceptible scrutiny. My heart sank. An absurd thought flashed by. Could she have been reborn too? No, impossible. I forced myself to calm down. If she also was reborn, with her arrogant personality, she would definitely stay far away from me. How could she still admit this red string is hers? I took a deep breath, suppressing the panic in my heart, deliberately putting on a casual and indifferent posture. Classmate, looking at your face, you should put more thought into studying. University is for striving, not for romance and love. Participate less in these boring parties in the future. Go to the library and read more books, lest you become a resentful woman who only knows how to orbit around her husband. After speaking, I ignored the astonished gazes of the whole room, and didn't even look at Lou Ryan's instantly pale face. Turned around directly and walked out of the private room. Reborn for a lifetime. What I want is a vast sky and ocean. Definitely not to repeat past mistakes. Walking out of the KTV, the cool night breeze blew away some of the drunkenness, and also calmed my irritable mood a bit. Since God let me start over, I not only want to make money, but also make up for the biggest regret of my previous life. Su King-wan is the beauty of our department, and also my white moonlight in my previous life. She is as gentle as water and understanding. Compared to Lou Ryan, who has a fiery temper and extreme control freak, they are simply two extremes. In my previous life, because I was tied to Lou Ryan early on, I could only bury this secret crush deep in my heart. During countless arguments after marriage, I would think despairingly in my heart, if I had pursued Su King-hwan back then, would my life not be such a total failure? Thinking of this, I quickened my pace. relying on my memory to walk towards the central lake of the school. I remembered these first few days of freshman year, Su King-hwan every night. Would memorize English vocabulary there. Sure enough, under the willow tree by the lake, I saw that slender figure in a white dress from behind. I adjusted my clothes, put on what I thought was my most mature and steady smile, and went up to strike up a conversation. Relying on the experience and conversation skills of 20 extra years, I quickly broke down Su King-hwan's defenses, making her cover her mouth and chuckle even, successfully asking for her QQ number. Su Ching, you're really interesting when you talk. Not quite like other boys. Su King-hwan blushed. With flowing glances, I was just about to strike while the iron is hot and say something else, when out of the corner of my eye, I glimpsed under a street lamp not far away stood a solitary figure. It was Lu Ryan. She didn't know how long she had been standing there. The evening breeze messed up her long hair. The dim yellow light hit her face. I actually clearly saw the tears twinkling in the corners of her eyes. At that moment, my heart uncontrollably twitched hard. Even though I had made up my mind to draw a clear line with her, even though I was just cursing her 10,000 times in my heart, when seeing her with that shattered, despairing look in her eyes looking at me, watching me be attentive to another girl, that damn instinct of mine still made me feel a suffocating sourness. 20 years of being husband and wife. Those habits and bonds carved into the bones are simply not something that can be easily erased by saying, start over. But I quickly gritted my teeth, forced myself to withdraw my gaze, and continued talking and laughing with Su King-hwan. I cannot be once soft-hearted. I will fall into that abyss of eternal doom again. Lu Ryan watched my unmoved back. The light in her eyes completely dimmed. She turned around abruptly and stumbled towards the outside of the school. When running past an intersection, a flashy black Maybach suddenly stopped beside her. The car window rolled down, revealing an untamed and handsome face. It was Lin Feng, the famous rich second-generation school hunk of our school. In my previous life, Lin Feng had frantically pursued Liu Ryan, but because Liu Ryan followed me, she righteously refused him, and even publicly threw a glass of wine at him, making him lose all face. At this moment, Liu Ryan's face was covered in tears, like a lost fawn. Lin Feng froze for a moment, didn't act like usual, speaking out to tease, but silently handed over a piece of tissue, and then opened the car door. Get in, I'll take you for a drive. Watching the Maybach speed away, I stood by the lake, still holding Su King-hwan's contact info in my hand. But my heart felt like a sponge soaked in water had been stuffed in, depressingly suffocating. The next day, I was sitting in the dorm, figuring out how to use the memories of my previous life to make my first pot of gold in the stock market, but the dorm door was pushed open violently. Lu Ryan stood outside the door, her eyes as red and swollen as walnuts, obviously hadn't slept all night. Seeing this, Wong Kong and the others immediately slipped out sensibly. Closing the door behind them, only the two of us were left in the room. The air was quietly somewhat oppressive. You also came back from that time, right? Lu Ryan stared fixedly at me, her voice terribly hoarse, but carrying a trace of imperceptible trembling and expectation. The hand I was holding the pen with paused slightly. Actually, when I saw her holding the red string last night, I guessed it, but I didn't look up. Just coldly grunted, hearing me admit it. Lu Ryan's tears instantly burst forth. She rushed over abruptly, grabbed my arm, like grasping the last life-saving straw. Su Ching, let's go back. Okay, I miss Nanan. Our daughter is only 5 years old. If we're both gone, what is she going to do? Su Ching, I beg you, let's find a way to go back together. Hearing the word N, my heart felt like it was fiercely stabbed by a knife tip, hurting so much I almost couldn't breathe. That was the daughter I cherished in the palm of my hand. But once thinking of those dark arguments of the previous life, thinking of her hysterical desire to control, thinking of the suppressed half of my life without dignity, the fear and resistance in my bones conquered everything. I forcefully pried her fingers open bit by bit, with eyes as cold as ice. We can't go back. Lu Ryan, since God, let us be reborn. It is for us to start anew. The marriage in the previous life was a mistake. In this life, I don't want to make mistakes anymore. Mistake. Liu Ryan looked at me in disbelief, took 2 steps back, as if she didn't know me. 20 years of feelings. Nanon's existence is just a mistake in your eyes. I forced myself to harden my heart, to look at her broken expression. In the future, we go our separate ways. You go find your Lin Feng. I'll go chase my Su. Let's not disturb each other. After speaking, I stopped paying attention to her, directly turned around and walked out of the dorm, walking very fast, as if fierce floods and savage beasts were chasing behind, only I knew how badly my hands were shaking. Lu Ryan, completely hurt by me, finally gave up the last trace of fantasy, since I am so heartless. She also didn't want to be that compromising and resentful woman anymore. That night, she changed into an extremely provocative red slip dress, stepping on 10-centimeter high heels, wearing exquisite makeup, walked out of the girls' dormitory. She asked Lin Feng to go to the most luxurious bar in the city. I was currently being pulled by Wong Kong, eating midnight snacks at a food stall at the school gate. Looking up, I saw Lu Ryan dazzling like blazing fire. She had never dressed so sexily in front of me. Just as she was preparing to cross the road and walk towards Lin Feng's perhaps because she wasn't used to such high heels, her foot twisted. Her whole body lost balance. Falling forward, Lin Feng, who had been waiting by the car, was quick and steadily caught her in his arms. Lu Ryan didn't push him away either. Instead, she took the opportunity to lean against his chest, turned her head slightly. Her gaze crossed the bustling crowd and precisely landed on me. In that look, there was the pleasure of revenge and also resolute despair. With a snap, the bamboo skewer in my hand was forcefully snapped by me. Sharp wooden splinters pierced my palm, oozing out traces of fresh blood. I didn't feel any pain at all. That night, the wooden splinters at the barbecue stall pierced my palm and also completely pierced my last trace of soft-heartedness towards Liu Ryan. Screw love. I am reborn for a lifetime. Making money is the king's way. Early the next morning, I washed my face with cold water and went straight to the securities business department downtown. Although I was suppressed in marriage in my previous life, my business sense was still there. I clearly remember. This week there's a monster stock called Dunghua Technology, which due to a sudden technical patent merger, will hit over a dozen daily limits in just 5 trading days. I took the only tens of thousands of savings in my card, plus the living expenses borrowed from Wong Kong and the others, and dumped it all into a full position. In the following days, I didn't even go to class, staring fixedly at the Klein chart on the computer screen, read all the way up. In just 1 week, funds swelled crazily like a snowball. When I decisively cleared my position at the highest point, looking at the long string of O South in the bank card, I let out a long breath of foul air. 10 million. The first pot of gold of Rebirth is secured. With confidence, my steps walking on campus became much brisker. Just as I walked to the bottom of the teaching building, a fragrant breeze hit my face. Su Qing, why haven't you been to class these past few days? I brought you milk tea. Lu Shenhuan, wearing a white dress, smilingly handed over a warm cup of milk tea. With some concern in her eyes, if it was the previous life, I probably would have been moved to a loss for words long ago. But now I just find it cloying. I was just about to wave my hand to refuse when her phone suddenly vibrated in her pocket. She took out her phone and took a look. The moment the screen lit up, relying on my excellent eyesight, I clearly saw the text message interface on it. The remark was Finance Department Zhang Shou. Message content King Huan. Let's go for a drive tonight. Bought you the latest bag. Su Qinghuan's fingers flew, tapping the keyboard, and replied, Okay, thank you, young Master Zhang, but I still have to review tonight. Can only keep you company for a little while. After sending, she looked up, put on that pure and innocent expression again to look at me. Su Qing, what are you zoning out for? I just felt my stomach churning. Nothing. Suddenly feel milk tea is quite disgusting. I sneered and walked straight past her. Su Qing, what do you mean? Su Qinghuan stomped her feet in exasperation behind me. I didn't even turn my head. The white moonlight filter of the previous life shattered into nothing but dregs at this moment. So she wasn't some pure little white flower, just an extremely high-level player. Shaking off Su Qinghuan, I immediately took a taxi to the west of the city. With this 10 million, I finally got the qualification to bid for that abandoned factory land in the west of the city. Memories of my previous life told me, next month, municipal planning will be announced. That land will be zoned as a new commercial center. The value will directly increase more than 10 times. I took the prepared bid document, strode into the bidding center. The moment I pushed open the door of the second-floor meeting room, the confidence on my face suddenly froze. In the spacious meeting room, there weren't those real estate tycoons I had imagined. At the head seat at the end of the long table sat a woman. In a well-tailored black professional suit, long hair neatly tied behind her head, red lips like fire, cold and stern eyes. Liu Ryan, and that unbearably arrogant, rich second-generation Lin Feng. Right now was actually like a well-behaved assistant. Standing behind her, flipping through documents for him, my mind buzzed. What's going on? Didn't she go get a room with Lin Feng? Didn't she degenerate? Surprisingly, Liu Ryan lifted her eyelids. Looking at me with a half-smile, I pulled out a chair and sat down, staring fixedly at her. What are you doing here? Bidding, of course. Liu Ryan's slender fingers tapped lightly on the table. And to teach you what it means that the business world is like? A battlefield? Just you? Where did you get the qualifications? I asked back coldly. Lin Feng interrupted from behind. Su Qing, show some respect. Ryan, is now our Lin Group's special project consultant. She is fully in charge of this bidding. I suddenly realized she wasn't dating Lin Feng at all. Throwing herself into his arms that night was all an act for me. And also to take the opportunity to hook up with the Lin family, using the Lin family's qualifications to get the admission ticket for this bidding. This crazy woman fooled even me. Young Master Lin, please step out for a moment. I want to chat with President Su alone. Lu Ryan ordered without even turning her head. Lin Feng froze for a moment, but actually obediently backed out and closed the door behind him. Only the two of us were left in the meeting room. I took a deep breath, suppressing the shock in my heart, and slammed the bid document in my hand on the table. Liu Ryan, do you think hooking up with the Lin family can beat me? I am determined to get this land. Is that so? A mocking curve hooked the corner of Liu Ryan's mouth. She picked up a document at hand and slid it directly in front of me across the smooth table. Look at it first. I suspiciously picked up the document and opened the first page. With just one glance, the blood in my whole body instantly ran cold. It was a quotation. The final reserve price on it strikingly read 10,010,100 yuan, and the reserve price in my bid was 10.01 million, just 100 yuan higher than my budget. I jerked my head up, looking at her like looking at a monster. Liu Ryan slowly stood up, with both hands resting on the table, staring down at me condescendingly. Her red lips parted slightly, spitting out a few cold words. President Su, you let me win. I gripped that piece of paper tightly, knuckles turning white. How could she know my reserve price? That quotation with 10,010,100 yuan written on it, like a loud slap in the face, buzzed in my head for days on end. I lost to that crazy woman Liu Ryan. These past few days I ran my legs off, trying to find the west of the city, project's other breakthroughs. Even boring events like the welcome party, I was too lazy to attend. If it wasn't for the counselor's strict order, plus Wong Kong dragging me here dead or alive, I should still be in my rented room studying the stock market right now. Because I just came out of a bank interview, I was still wearing a dark gray custom suit. Among the freshmen full of short sleeves and jeans, looking out of place. Bro, why are you dressed so formally? Going on a blind date? Wong Kong sat on a folding chair in the auditorium, holding a handful of sunflower seeds, but staring blankly at the stage. I tugged at my tie, sneered, going to make money. A single dog like you who only knows how to look at beauties doesn't understand. Shaich, how can making money be as sweet as looking at beauties? Wong Kong pointed excitedly at the stage. Look, Su Qingwan is out. Our department beauty is the host tonight. This outfit is amazing. I looked in the direction he pointed. Su Qingwan was wearing a pink puffy dress, holding a microphone, smiling sweetly, announcing, but for some reason, looking at her pure and harmless face, what came to my mind was all when she messaged Zhang Xiao from finance that day. That sea king-like face. Disgusting. I leaned against the back of the chairboard, just preparing to close my eyes and rest. But out of the corner of my eye, I glimpsed the waiting area on the side of the stage. Su Qinghuan just stepped off the stage. In the dark corner where the lights couldn't reach, Su Qinghuan was with a senior in charge of clothing, whispering. I saw a glint of metal seem to flash in her hand, like a small pair of scissors. Immediately after, under the guise of helping to arrange clothes, on the shoulder strap of a hanging black dress, quickly tampered with it. I frowned slightly. What dirty trick is this woman playing again? Next is tonight's finale. The fashion show brought by the Fashion Design Club. The male host on stage announced loudly, dynamic. Intense music instantly resounded through the entire auditorium. Colorful spotlights flashed wildly. Several tall girls walked down the stage in turn, whistling all around. Just then, the drum beats of the music suddenly became extremely oppressive. A beam of cold white spotlight hit the center of the stage with a snap. The whole audience instantly fell quiet for 1 second, immediately followed by an exclamation that tore the roof off. Liu Ryan. She was wearing that black haute couture evening dress, stepping on 10-centimeter stilettos like a queen inspecting her territory, walking step by step from the shadows into the halo, cold, glamorous, and noble. Insolent. The design of that dress is extremely bold. The backless cut outlined her perfect curves vividly, supported entirely by 2 extremely thin shoulder straps. I sat in the first row, looking at that radiant woman on stage, with mixed feelings in my heart. 20 years, I know her too well. As long as she stands there, she can easily take away everyone's breath. Su Qinghuan on the side of the stage, the jealousy on her face was almost impossible to hide. She stared fixedly at Liu Ryan's shoulder. A sinister sneer hooked the corner of her mouth, just as Liu Ryan walked to the very front of the stage and prepared to pose. A very faint, yet in the quiet auditorium, infinitely magnified sound of fabric tearing rang out. The shoulder strap on Leo Ryan's right side snapped without warning. The black fabric instantly lost its support, sliding down her smooth shoulder. If it goes down 2 more inches, she would completely expose herself in front of the whole school. The whole audience was in an uproar. The girls in the front row screamed. Some boys widened their eyes. Some even took out their phones ready to take pictures. At that moment, my mind went blank. Reason told me, don't mind her, she stole your land. She is an unscrupulous maniac. Let her make a fool of herself. Let her reputation be ruined. But my body was completely out of control. The instincts of 20 years of marriage carved into my marrow are faster than any reason. In the 0.1 second, her shoulder strap broke. I suddenly kicked away my chair and darted out like a cheetah. Bro, where are you going? Wong Kong exclaimed behind me. I couldn't hear him at all. Supporting myself on the Onomer high edge of the stage with one hand, I cleanly vaulted onto the stage. Under the astonished gazes of thousands in the audience, as I strode towards her, I pulled off my dark gray suit jacket. Lou Ryan froze in place, her face deathly pale, holding the fabric tightly against her chest with both hands. In her usually proud eyes, there was rare panic and helplessness at this moment. Just as she was about to break down, the suit jacket with my body heat, carrying a sharp wind, landed steadily on her shoulders. I took a step behind her smoothly. My left hand reached over from outside the suit and grabbed that slender waist that could be held in one hand. The moment of touch, both of our bodies trembled at the same time. Too familiar. The strength of this embrace, this fitting angle, embracing for countless days and nights over 20 years, made our bodies form a terrifying tacit understanding long ago. Don't be afraid, look up. I lowered my voice and said to her ear. Lou Ryan's body instantly relaxed. She didn't turn her head, nor did she struggle. She just turned her face slightly and met my gaze with her peripheral vision. Just a single glance, without the need for any verbal communication, no rehearsal needed. The heavy bass of the music hit again. I held her waist tightly. She was wearing my oversized suit. The two of us stepped forward at the same time, with surprisingly consistent steps. Our auras instantly merged. The black evening dress and the dark gray suit complemented each other. She was as glamorous as a knife. I was as steady as a mountain. We were under the spotlight. Turning, pacing, posing, every movement carried highly aggressive, sexual tension, as if this was not an accident, but a carefully planned show for a power couple. The dead silence offstage only lasted 3 seconds, before erupting into 10 times crazier than before. Screams and applause. So handsome? Is this a specially designed segment? Who is this guy? His aura doesn't lose to the senior at all. This sexual tension is amazing. I swept a cold glance off stage. My gaze accurately caught Su Qinghwan standing at the edge of the curtain. Her face had turned completely green. Her features, due to extreme jealousy and anger, twisted together, her nails digging tightly into the prop box beside her, wishing she could rush up and tear me to pieces. Malicious manipulation. Have you no shame? Not only did you fail to succeed, you instead forced out the tacit understanding carved in our bones. The fashion show ended. I hugged Leo Ryan and retreated backstage amid thunderous applause. As soon as we walked into the unlit backstage corridor, the noise outside seemed to be instantly cut off. The woman in my arms, who was just in perfect sync with me, suddenly broke free from my arm violently, like she was electrocuted. With a bang, her back pressed against the cold wall, her hands clutching my suit tightly, her eyes instantly restored. That indifference that keeps people 1,000 miles away. The play is over. President Su, her voice was as cold as ice chips. I looked at my empty palm. A trace of loss inexplicably flashed through my heart, but it was quickly replaced by anger. Lou Ryan, can you have a conscience? I just saved you. Save me, she sneered. From the small bag she brought along, took out a folded document and slapped it unceremoniously on my chest. Don't think I don't know what you're plotting. This is a betting agreement. Take a look. I subconsciously caught the document. Looked down. The cover strikingly bore 4 large words, West City Project. What do you mean? I jerked my head up, staring fixedly at her. That piece of land in the west of the city, I got it. But the Lin family doesn't have enough construction teams and building material channels. You do? Lee Ryan raised her chin slightly, her eyes as sharp as a knife. Profits split 5050. Dare to sign? I gasped. She not only calculated Lin Feng, calculated me. Even my next trump card was completely figured out by her. Why do you think I will sign? I gritted my teeth and gripped the agreement tightly. You stole my reserve price, and now you come to give me charity. Leo Ryan suddenly took a step closer. Under the dim light of the corridor, the familiar cold fragrance on her drilled straight into my nose. Her red lips were almost touching my ear. Her voice as light as a ghost, but it exploded like thunder in my heart. Su Qing, you better sign it. Besides, she paused, There was a trace of creepy certainty in her tone. Don't think I don't. No. In the previous life, behind my back, secretly taking the assets under your name and transferring them to overseas trust funds? Who exactly were you guarding against? And what secret were you covering up? My pupils suddenly contracted. My heart felt as if it was tightly squeezed by an invisible hand. That was my deepest and darkest secret from my previous life. What exactly did she find out? Just as I was about to speak, Lou Ryan had already stood up straight, gathered the suit on her shoulders, leaving me a resolute back. Tomorrow morning at 10, bring the signed agreement to me. Won't wait after the deadline, accompanied by the crisp clicking of high heels. She gradually disappeared into the darkness. I leaned against the wall. Cold sweat soaked the back of my shirt. This game of Rebirth seems to have completely slipped out of my control. The third day after the West City project was settled, the Lynn Group at Royal No. 1 Club booked the entire top floor to hold a celebration banquet. As a silent partner of the project, I didn't go, but the private detective I hired with a lot of money had long sneaked in as a waiter at the club, staring intently at that private room. At 9:30 p.m., my phone started vibrating wildly. President Sue, something happened. That bastard Lin Feng drugged Miss Luo's champagne. He sent everyone else away. Now it's just the two of them left in the room. Looking at the message on the screen, my mind buzzed. A rush of blood shot straight to the top of my head. That idiot Lin Feng finally realized that he was used by Lou Ryan as a tool for her career. The West City project's qualifications were extracted by Lou Ryan through a shell. The bulk of the profits all went into my and Lou Ryan's pockets. The great Lin family didn't even get a sip of soup. This bastard flew into a rage out of humiliation, playing openly, but to actually dare to use such despicable, dirty tricks, keep a close eye on it for me. If anyone dares to go into the room's door, you just take a wine bottle and smash them to death. They'll be there in 5 minutes. I growled into the phone, grabbed the car keys, and rushed out the door. I ran 4 red lights in a row along the way. The Maybach's engine let out a beast-like roar on the late-night streets. My hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles turning white. My heart beat so hard it almost shattered my ribs. 20 years of being husband and wife. I know Lou Ryan too well. That woman proud to her bones. If she really was by garbage like Lin Feng, using dirty tricks to ruin her innocence, she would definitely not survive. The piercing sound of brakes rang out at the club's entrance. I didn't even close the car door, and rushed into the lobby like a mad cheetah. Pushed away the security guards who came up to stop me and headed straight for the exclusive elevator. With a ding, the top floor arrived outside the Emperor Hall at the end of the corridor. My private detective was pushing hard against the door handle, shoving with 2 of the Lin family's bodyguards. "Get lost," I shouted. Rushed forward, taking 3 steps and delivered a flying kick. Viciously kicking one of the bodyguards in the chest, that man grunted, flew straight back and crashed into the wall. Before the other bodyguard could react, I smashed a punch into his face. He slid down limply. To the ground, I stepped back half a pace. Using the momentum of the sprint, raised my right leg. At that heavy, solid, wood-carved double door, kicked down fiercely. Bang, a loud noise. The door lock cracked on the spot. The 2 heavy doors burst open inward, smashing heavily against the wall. The scene in the room instantly stung my eyes. Under the dim lights, Lou Ryan collapsed on the large leather sofa. Her signature black professional suit had already been torn to a mess, revealing large swaths of snow-white skin. Her eyes were blurry, her face abnormally flushed, hands gripping her collar tightly, using the last bit of strength in her whole body, biting her own lip fiercely, blood flowing down the corner of her mouth. Shocking to see. And Lin Feng? That beast was pressing down on her with a vicious grin, one hand pressing her shoulder hard, the other hand about to undo her belt. Stinking bitch dares to play me. Today, I'll let you know. The end of using the Lin family, Lin Feng cursed, completely unaware that the Grim Reaper was already standing behind him. Fuck your mother. My eyes instantly turned blood red. A roar that didn't sound human came from my throat. Without any hesitation, I picked up from the coffee table an unopened bottle of Royal Salute, took a step to the sofa. My left hand grabbed Lin Feng's hair, jerking him backwards violently. Lin Feng let out a cry of alarm, forced to look up, meeting my almost murderous eyes. "Su Qing, how the fuck did you?" Before he could finish, the wine bottle in my right hand with a sharp wind sound smashed down mercilessly. The target was not his head, but his right hand that was pressing Lou Ryan just now. A tooth-aching sound of bone cracking and the sound of glass shattering rang out at the same time. The hard wine bottle exploded on Lin Feng's wrist. Amber liquor mixed with fresh blood instantly splashed all over the ground. My hand, Lin Feng screamed like a slaughtered pig. rolling off the sofa onto the carpet, clutching his twisted and deformed right hand, rolling all over the floor in pain. With a cold face, I stepped on his broken hand. The leather shoe, soul-crushing fiercely. Su Qing, I'll kill you. I'll kill your whole family. Lin Feng's features twisted in pain, roaring hysterically. At this time, messy footsteps came from the corridor outside. 7 or 8 Lin family bodyguards in black suits rushed into the room in a swarm, instantly surrounding me. Young Master, the leading bodyguard, saw Lin Feng on the ground, his expression changing drastically, then pointed at me and roared, "Kill him! Beat him to death for me." Facing the encirclement of 7 or 8 burly men, I wasn't panicked at all. I slowly released my foot, stepping on Lin Feng. From the inside pocket of my suit, took out a black USB flash drive. Snap! I threw the USB casually onto the coffee table full of glass shards, making a crisp sound. The room instantly fell quiet for a second. Su Qing, you're fucking dead. Don't think about walking out this door alive today. Lin Feng was helped up by the bodyguards, face covered in blood. Staring fiercely at me, I chuckled softly, tugged at my tie, looking at him as if looking at a dead man. Lin Feng, before making a move, I advise you to figure out what's in this USB first. What bullshit. Beat him for me. Lin Feng didn't listen at all. Lin Group falsely issued 350 million in VAT invoices last year, cooked the books to evade 80 million in taxes, the unfinished building project in the south of the city. You misappropriated 200 million in regulatory funds to fill holes in the stock market, and the details of your dad's money laundering in Macau casinos. My tone was flat, but every word was like a heavy hammer, smashing fiercely on the floor of the room. Lin Feng's roaring stopped abruptly. He widened his eyes, staring fixedly at the black USB on the coffee table. The arrogance on his face receded cleanly in an instant, replaced by extreme panic. Bullshit. Where did you get this fake stuff? Bluffing me? Lin Feng's voice was shaking. Am I bluffing you? Just make a phone call and you'll know, I sneered. Took out my phone in front of him, pressed the speakerphone button directly, and dialed a number. Beep. The call connected. An authoritative voice came out. Hello, Economic Investigation Brigade. Who is this? Lin Feng's legs suddenly gave way. If it wasn't for the bodyguard supporting him, he would already be kneeling on the ground. Su Qing, Brother Su, Master Su, don't. I beg you, don't. Lin Feng completely broke down, pounced over like crazy, wanting to snatch the phone, but was kicked to the ground by me. Hello, I want to report the Lin Group with my real name. I ignored Lin Feng on the ground. Into the phone, clearly exposed several core accounting figures and the location of the evidence. Hanging up the phone, I looked down at Lin Feng, who was like mud. You dare touch a hair on her head, and I'll pull out the roots of your entire Lin family. Now take your people and get out. Prepare for bankruptcy liquidation. The bodyguards looked at each other. No one dared to step forward again, involved in an economic case of this level. The Lin family is finished. This group of hired thugs on a fixed salary, don't need to be buried with them. I didn't look at Lin Feng again. Turned to the sofa. Liu Ryan had completely lost consciousness, her whole body curled up in a ball, burning hot like a branding iron, muttering intolerably from her mouth. I took off my suit jacket and wrapped her tightly, picked her up sideways, walked out of the room, passed through the corridor. No one dared to stop me. Sprinted all the way to the underground garage. I stuffed Liu Ryan into the passenger seat of the Maybach, quickly fastened her seatbelt, and rushed out of the club with one step on the gas. A sweet and dangerous scent permeated the car. The drug took full effect. Hot, so hot. Liu Ryan twisted painfully in the passenger seat, her hands tearing wildly at the suit jacket on her. Her reason had been completely destroyed by the drug. Only the most primitive instinct remained. Ryan, bear with it. I'm taking you to the hospital right now. I turned the steering wheel sharply, pushing the speed to the limit. But the next second, she suddenly unbuckled her seatbelt. Like a fish deprived of oxygen, pounced violently on me while I was driving. Su Qing, her burning body pressed tightly against me, her hands wrapped around my neck like vines. She cried, kissing my chin and neck haphazardly, her hands frantically tearing at my shirt. With a ripping sound, 2 buttons popped off my shirt, revealing a sturdy chest. Ryan, sober up. I'm driving. I held the steering wheel tightly with one hand and tried to push her away with the other, but she was holding on too tight. So tight it was as if she wanted to knead herself into my flesh and blood. Suddenly, her movements stopped, her tears like broken pearls, smashed on my chest, her fingers trembling violently, pressed against the position of my heart on the left chest. Su Qing, she raised her head. Those once blurry eyes were now full of heartbreaking despair and collapse. She pointed at my heart, her voice so hoarse it was almost torn. You obviously have terminal cancer. Why doesn't it hurt now? My whole body stiffened. My foot on the gas abruptly let go. The car on the empty road cut a screeching-shaped track. What is she saying? Cancer? Why didn't you tell me? Why carry it alone? She tightly grabbed my torn shirt, crying her heart out, as if to vent all the pain, suppressed for 20 years. That car accident in our previous life. When that truck crashed over, why didn't you avoid it? Why did you unbuckle your seatbelt and hug me? Su Ching, you liar. Give me back your life. A thunderbolt in my mind exploded with a bang. That fatal car accident in our previous life was not an accident. I felt like I was struck by lightning. My mind went completely blank. Staring fixedly at the woman crying her eyes out in my arms, the truth behind the tumor and the car accident in our previous life, the 20 years of suffocating marriage. Could it all be fake? The Maybach's tires rubbed a harsh screech on the asphalt road. I slammed on the brakes and stopped the car. In front of the nearest 5-star hotel to the club, Lou Ryan's words were like a rusty knife, churning crazily in my head. Terminal tumor. That car accident in our previous life? I simply had no time to think. Lou Ryan in the passenger seat, her reason had been completely swallowed by the drug. Her whole body was burning like a red-hot coal, her hands twisting tightly into my torn shirt, her long legs curled up in pain, uttering unconscious whimpers from her mouth. Ryan, hold on to me. With red eyes, I yanked off her seatbelt, pushed the car door open and rushed down. Went around to the passenger side. I picked her up sideways, kicked open the hotel's front door, and rushed to the elevator like a madman. The receptionist at the front desk turned pale with fright. Just as she was about to stop me, I took out a black card from my pocket and slapped it right on the counter. Top floor suite. Open the door immediately. Quick, 30 seconds later. With a bang. Carrying Lou Ryan, I crashed through the door of the suite. Without any hesitation, I rushed straight into the bathroom, kicked the door shut. I threw her whole body directly into the large bathtub, reached back and turned on the cold water switch of the shower. The bone-chilling water instantly gushed out, pouring over both our heads and faces. The sudden extreme cold made Lou Ryan let out a piercing scream. She struggled violently like she was electrocuted, her hands scratching wildly at the edge of the bathtub. Wanting to escape, gritting my teeth, I stepped into the bathtub. My hands pressed her shoulders firmly like iron pincers, letting the cold water flow down my hair into my eyes, stinging immensely. Lou Ryan, wake up. Open your eyes and look at me. I roared at her. The stimulation of the cold water finally worked. Lou Ryan's violent struggling slowly stopped. She gasped heavily for air, her chest heaving violently. Her originally blurry and unfocused pupils, under the wash of the cold water, finally gradually gathered a trace of focus. She stared at me blankly, looking at my torn shirt that she had ripped, looking at the bloody scratches she made on my chest. The drug effect had mostly faded. Reason reclaimed the high ground. In the narrow bathtub, the cold water was still rushing down. The two of us were soaked through, pressed together in a sorry state, separated by life and death of 20 years, staring intently at each other in this cold water. Are you awake? I let go of the hands pressing her shoulders, my voice terribly hoarse. Lou Ryan didn't speak, just bit her bloodless lips tightly. Tears mixed with the cold water from the shower, falling heavily drop by drop. I turned off the shower. The bathroom instantly plunged into a dead silence. Only the two of us, with heavy breathing echoing in the air. Now it's your turn to speak. I wiped the cold water off my face, staring fixedly into her eyes, pressing her word by word. Just now in the car? What exactly is this tumor you mentioned? What did you hide from me in our previous life? Lou Ryan's body trembled violently. She subconsciously shrank back, hugging her knees like a frightened hedgehog. Speak. I suddenly smashed a punch onto the tile beside her ear. My knuckles instantly broke the skin and bled. Lou Ryan looked at my bleeding hand. The defense in the depths of her eyes finally completely collapsed. Suddenly, like a child who had suffered all kinds of grievances, crying loudly without caring about her image. Su Ching, you're a bastard. You're an out-and-out big liar, she cried, while using all her strength to punch my chest, blow after blow. Did you think you secretly transferred assets in our previous life? Cashing out company shares and setting up overseas trust funds? I really couldn't find out. Did you think you did it flawlessly? I stiffened on the spot. In our previous life, in the 15th year of our marriage, I did indeed do these things behind her back. At that time, her desire to control me had reached a pathological level. I thought she wanted to swallow up my property. To leave a way out for our daughter Nanan, I could only resort to this bad move. I found out Lou Ryan was crying out of breath, her voice so hoarse as if sanded by sandpaper. Following the flow of those funds, I found the medical waiver form you signed. Found the terminal glioblastoma in your brain. My brain felt like it was smashed fiercely by a heavy hammer. A sharp ringing sounded in my ears. Terminal glioblastoma. My memories of my previous life flashed crazily through my mind like a revolving lantern. No wonder in those years I frequently had splitting headaches. No wonder I inexplicably fainted all the time. But every time I went to the hospital, Lou Ryan always held tightly to my medical report and told me it was just overwork. Neurasthenia. You found out you had a terminal illness. The doctor said you only had half a year, at most. Lou Ryan grabbed my collar tightly. Eyes scarlet, tears breaking down the dam frantically. You didn't even dare tell me. You alone secretly left all the money to me and Nanan, and then planned to just find a place to wait for death, right? I opened my mouth, but my throat felt like a waterlogged sponge was stuffed inside, unable to make a sound. Although that was a memory of my previous life. Although I am healthy after being reborn, but at this moment, that unforgettable sense of despair still drowned me like a tidal wave. Did you think I wanted to be a crazy woman? Lou Ryan roared at me hysterically, her fingers digging hard into my flesh. Do you think I wanted to check your phone every day like a pervert? Check your phone and restrict your freedom. Do you think I wanted to lock you at home and force you to drink those terribly bitter Chinese medicines? You gave up on yourself, but I couldn't give up on you. If I didn't tie you tightly by my side, you would have died outside like a deserter. I could only turn into a bad person, cut off all your retreats, force you to stay home, force you to accept all the folk remedies and treatments I found. Su Qing, you're not even afraid of death? Why were you afraid of me? Why did you say I suffocated you? What really suffocated me was the countdown of you leaving me at any time. The truth is like a sharp scalpel, cruelly cutting open the 20-year marriage, the most bloody abscess. I knelt stiffly in the bathtub. The blood in my whole body seemed to completely freeze at this moment. Those days and nights in our previous life that made me want to die, those endless arguments, those shattered pots and pans, those controls, that made me feel even breathing war shackles. Turned out it wasn't some pathological possessiveness at all. It was her desperately trying to pull me from the hands of the Grim Reaper. She would rather bear all my resentment, would rather let me think she was an unreasonable madwoman. To use this most extreme and resolute way, to forcibly keep me in the human world. Then what about the car accident? My whole body trembled. My voice didn't even sound like my own anymore. Since you wanted me to live so much, why did we end up dying in that car accident? Hearing the words car accident, Lou Ryan's pupils contracted sharply. A trace of extreme fear and pain flashed in her eyes. It was an accident. She trembled her lips, grabbing my hand tightly. That day, I took you to the provincial capital to see an authoritative brain expert. On the winding mountain road, the brakes suddenly failed. An out-of-control large truck crashed, hidden towards us. Lou Ryan's tears smashed on the back of my hand. Scalding hot. Su Qing, I was the driver. You were sitting in the passenger seat. The truck crashed from the front right. She jerked her head up, those red eyes staring fixedly at me. With a heartbreaking madness, I turned the steering wheel all the way to the left. I completely exposed the driver's seat to that truck. I wanted to trade my life for you to live on. But you, madman, you complete madman. Lou Ryan suddenly broke down and cried loudly, her hands pounding my shoulders fiercely. 1 second before the impact, you unbuckled your seatbelt? You pounced over and protected my head tightly. You blocked the deformed car cabin with your body. Why did you unbuckle your seatbelt? You obviously could have survived. Give me back your life. All the clues, all the doubts. At this moment, pieced together completely seamlessly. The last day of our previous life, in the out-of-control car, in order to protect me in the passenger seat, she sharply turned the steering wheel, sending herself towards the Grim Reaper. While I, in the last second of life, out of the instinct of 20 years of being husband and wife, unbuckled my seatbelt, used my flesh and blood body to protect her vitals. We both used the most resolute way, wanting to leave the hope of living to each other. All the resentment, all the unwillingness, all the barriers, completely vanished into nothing at this moment. My heart was like ruthlessly crushed by a meat grinder, hurting so much I couldn't breathe. I looked at this soaking wet, heart-wrenchingly crying woman in front of me. Looking at this woman who bore 20 years of infamy for me, even willing to trade her life for mine. Ryan, with red eyes, a sorrowful cry like an injured beast came from my throat. I jerked my hands out and forcefully pulled her into my arms. I used all the strength in my body to tightly hug her waist, as if to knead her back into my flesh and blood. I'm sorry. I buried my face in her cold neck. Tears burst the dam defenselessly, mixing with the cold water on her body. In 20 years, I cried like a helpless child for the first time. I didn't know. I really didn't know anything. I hugged her tightly, my voice choked with sobs. I thought you hated me. I thought you wanted to destroy me. Lou Ryan leaned on my shoulder. Her hands tightly hugged my back, her nails almost digging into my flesh. She cried and shook her head. Tears wet my back. Su Qing, I'm so tired. Pretending to be the bad guy is really tiring. She pressed against my ear, her voice painfully weak. Not pretending anymore. Won't pretend anymore. I cupped her pale face, gently wiped away the tears from the corner of her eyes with my trembling thumb, my eyes more resolute than ever. God letting us live again is to untie this dead knot. Ryan, the life I owed you in our previous life, in this life I will give it back to you bit by bit. I swear from now on, no one can ever separate us again. Liu Ryan looked at me. Those eyes that always carried coldness and defense finally regained the starlight from our previous life that were full of me. She didn't speak, just raised her head slightly and closed her eyes. The temperature in the bathroom seemed to rise sharply at this moment. The chill brought by the cold water was completely dispelled by two hearts beating together again. Completely dispelled. I looked at her red lips, close at hand. Breathing gradually became heavy. After all, misunderstandings were resolved. That fanatic emotion suppressed for 20 years, and then lost and found, exploded in my chest like a volcano. I lowered my head, ready to kiss her, ready to use this kiss to completely end the tragedy of our previous life and start the voice of our hearts belonging to us. However, just as my lips were about to touch hers, a drop of warm liquid dripped without warning on my chest, skin. I froze for a moment, subconsciously looked down. Not cold water, not tears. It was a dazzling drop of blood, followed by drip. Drip, more and more blood, gushed wildly from Liu Ryan's nose, instantly staining her pale lips red. Down her chin, smashing drop by drop onto the cold water surface of the bathtub, spreading into a shocking red. Ryan, I abruptly widened my eyes. My heart instantly leaped into my throat. Liu Ryan slowly opened her eyes, but her gaze had lost its focus. She looked at me. Her lips moved slightly, seeming to want to say something, but only emitted a hissing sound of air leaking. The next second, her eyes rolled back. Her whole body was like a marionette drained of all strength. Falling straight into my arms, Ryan, Liu Ryan, I shook her shoulders like a madman, but she had no reaction. The blood from her nose was still gushing out, staining my hands red. Extreme fear, like a pair of cold big hands, choked my neck tightly. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'm taking you to the hospital right now. I stumbled up from the bathtub, took a large bath towel and wrapped her tightly, picked her up sideways, rushed out of the hotel room like a gust of wind. Downtown hospital emergency department. The incandescent lights in the corridor were blindingly pale. I was soaking wet, like a wandering ghost, slumped on the cold bench outside the emergency room. The cold water from my clothes dripped onto the floor, my hands covered in dried dark red bloodstains. It had been exactly an hour since Liu Ryan was pushed in. An entire hour had passed. In this 1 hour, my mind was in chaos. Why did she suddenly bleed? Why did she suddenly faint? She was perfectly healthy in our previous life. Could there be something wrong with the drug Lin Feng gave her? If that beast Lin Feng dared to use poison, I will definitely skin him alive. The heavy door of the emergency room was suddenly pushed open. A doctor wearing a mask and green surgical clothes walked out quickly. On his white coat, there were even a few spots of spattered blood. Who is Liu Ryan's family member? The doctor's voice was urgent and stern. I am her husband. I abruptly sprang up from the chair because my legs were numb. I almost knelt on the ground. I stumbled over and grabbed the doctor's arm tightly. Doctor, how is she? Was she drugged with something? The doctor looked at me with a solemnity in his eyes that made one feel like falling into an ice cellar, slowly took off his mask and shook his head with a pale face, holding a freshly printed brain CT scan report in his hand. It's not drug poisoning. The doctor's voice echoed in the empty corridor. Every word was like a heavy hammer, smashing fiercely on my head. Near the patient's brain, there is an extremely rare invisible nerve trauma. This kind of trauma is not pathological at all. It's more like the brain had suffered an extremely violent physical impact, causing a hidden fracture inside the nerve fibers. Physical impact. I froze. My mind went completely blank. Impossible. She hasn't been injured at all recently. This is the weirdest part. The doctor frowned deeply. Even the hand holding the report was trembling slightly. From the imaging perspective, this level of impact usually only appears at the scene of a tragic car accident. Moreover, the doctor paused, looked up and looked at me with an extremely sorrowful gaze. The trauma has already caused a massive hidden hemorrhage in the skull, compressing the vital center. The patient has now fallen into a deep coma. You better prepare yourself mentally. The doctor took a deep breath and issued the final verdict. She could become brain dead at any time. The air in the corridor seemed to be completely sucked out at this moment. I stood there blankly, looking at the glaring red light above the emergency room door. The impact of the car accident in our previous life. So the price of rebirth is not only carrying memories, but also turning the fatal injury of the previous life into the destiny of this life. Punishing fate. This son of a bitch just gave her back to me and now wants to snatch her away right in front of me. Screw destiny. Clenching my fists tightly. Nails piercing deeply into the flesh of my palms. Blood seeping through my fingers. Dripping onto the pale hospital floor. I looked up, staring at the emergency room door with scarlet eyes. The Grim Reaper wants to take her away. Did I agree? Mr. Sue, please calm down. Sign the critical illness notice. The nurse handed over a form tremblingly. Get lost. I slapped away that light piece of paper, roaring like an angry lion. I want sign. I have plenty of money. I want the best equipment, the best medicine. She absolutely cannot die. The doctor sighed helplessly, despair showing in his eyes. This is not a matter of money. The invisible trauma in her brain is too special. The current level of neurosurgery in the country is completely helpless. If the country can't, then hire foreign ones. I grabbed the doctor's white coat, staring fixedly at him. Who are the world's top neurosurgery experts? Tell me. Professor Smith from the US, Dr. Hans from Germany, but their schedules are full. It's completely impossible. Nothing is impossible. I pushed the doctor away fiercely, took out my phone, my knuckles white from extreme force. Hello, Wong Kong? As soon as the call connected, I roared sternly. Screw the West City project. Sell all the shares we have. Yes, right now. Immediately at once. On the other end of the phone, Wong Kong was stunned. Brother Shin, are you crazy? The municipal planning is coming down soon. If we sell now, we'll lose at least half. That's a goose that lays golden eggs. So be it. I just want the money now. Money. My eyes were bloodshot. Roaring into the phone, no matter how much the buyer pushes the price down, before dawn tomorrow, I want to see cash lying in the account. Not a penny less. What exactly happened? Wong Kong heard the despair in my voice. Ryan, something happened to her. I need money. To save a life, go do it quickly. Hanging up the phone, I didn't pause for a moment and dialed the securities broker's number again. Old Lee, clear out all the monster stocks under my name. Cut the crap and put in a limit down price immediately. Dump them. Don't wait even a second. And the debt of that mess from the Lin Group, whoever wants it can have it. Sell it as a bundle at half price. Convert all my chips into US dollars. In just 3 hours, the business empire I had just built up was smashed to pieces by my own hands. The first pot of gold after rebirth. The blueprint of tens of billions for the future. In front of Lou Ryan's fragile lifeline are all fucking bullshit. If the price of rebirth is bringing the fatal injury from the previous life, then I'd rather give up this damn wealth. Begging to break this messed up life and death destiny, over 10 million in cash, plus tens of millions cashed out from the West City project. I threw it all crazily to the other side of the ocean like scattering paper money. Hello, is this Professor Smith's team? I'll pay 10 times the consultation fee. Charter a private jet to China immediately. Dr. Hans. As long as you get on a plane immediately, a 10 million US dollar hardship fee will be wired to your account at once. Not enough equipment. I'll pay to buy the heist-level medical private jet and transport it for you. As long as you can snatch her back from the Grim Reaper's hands, I will give it all. 2 days later, the top floor of the central hospital was completely sealed off. A super medical team consisting of 7 top neurosurgery experts in the world took over the operating room. With a snap, the operating room doors closed tightly. The glaring red light came on. The silence in the corridor was maddening. All the strength in my body seemed to be instantly drained. Sliding down the cold wall like a puddle of mud, my knees hitting heavily on the hard floor tiles. Brother, get up. Wong Kong, who had rushed to the hospital with red eyes, tried to pull me. Don't touch me. I abruptly shook off his hand, turned around, facing the cold door of the operating room, bent down without hesitation. Bang, my forehead knocked heavily on the hard marble floor, making a muffled sound. God, listen to me. I gritted my teeth, the taste of blood spreading crazily in my mouth, my voice hoarse beyond recognition. I owed her a life in our previous life. In this life, I use all my luck and all my wealth to repay it. I cowed out again, my forehead instantly bleeding. If you insist on taking someone away, take me. Use my lives over lifetimes in exchange for her safety. Time became the cruelest death by 1,000 cuts at this moment. 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, 15 hours. A full 15 hours of life and death struggle. I knelt in the corridor. My knees had long lost feeling. What flashed crazily through my mind was all the 20 years of entanglement in our previous life, her resolution in sharply turning the steering wheel to protect me, and Nanon's innocent smiling face. The harsh alert tone sounded abruptly. The red light of the operating room finally went out. The heavy door slowly pushed open. Professor Smith took off his sweat-soaked mask. A touch of incredible shock appeared on his exhausted face. Mr. Sue, it is simply a miracle in medical history. The nerve repair surgery was very successful. She pulled through. My whole body trembled violently. The nerves that had been tense for 15 hours instantly snapped. Tears burst the dam defenselessly. I scrambled up from the ground and stumbled into the intensive care unit. On the hospital bed, Leo Ryan was wearing a ventilator, her face as pale as a transparent piece of paper. Seeming to have sensed my presence, her long eyelashes fluttered slightly and slowly opened her eyes, looking at my unshaven, bleeding forehead and miserable appearance. She weakly tugged the corner of her mouth, a clear tear sliding down from her eye. Through the oxygen mask, the sound she made was so weak it was almost inaudible. Su Ching, I fell to my knees by the bed with a thud, gripping the back of her cold hand tightly with both hands, bowed my head and kissed it crazily. I am here. Our Nanan. Shattered light flickered in her eyes. Will she still come back? My heart felt like a warm, big hand. Instantly squeezed it tight. She will. I choked with sobs. Scalding tears smashed onto her palm, but my tone was firmer than ever before. She definitely will. As long as we are well, Nanan will definitely find her way home. Time flew by. The gears of destiny at the moment of breaking fate completely shifted onto a brand new track. 5 years later, at the Maternal and Child Health Hospital's VIP, outside the delivery room, I paced back and forth anxiously, my palms covered in cold sweat, eyes staring fixedly at the tightly closed doors. Bro, stop pacing. Sister-in-law is blessed by heaven. Mother and daughter will definitely be safe. Wong Kong handed me a bottle of water from the side and teased with a smile. You, a big boss worth tens of billions. How come you're more nervous than when signing a $1 billion contract back then? I glared at him irritably, pushed the water bottle away. Get lost. What the hell do you know? 5 years ago, to save Ryan, I lost my entire fortune. But God didn't cut off my path after all. After she recovered, we remarried, relying on the memories of the previous life and the tacit understanding carved in our bones. In just 5 short years, we made a comeback once again and built a business empire even larger than in our previous life. But all these achievements are nothing compared to the woman inside the door who is risking her life for me. A crisp and loud cry abruptly pierced the tranquility of the corridor. The delivery room door was pushed open. A nurse holding a swaddle walked out with a face full of joy. Congratulations, President Sue. It's a baby girl. Mother and daughter are safe. My whole body shook violently. My legs went weak. Almost kneeling on the ground, I tremblingly reached out both hands, carefully receiving that soft and squishy little life. The swaddle slightly opened. The baby girl slowly opened her big, black, grape-like eyes. No crying or fussing, just looking at me curiously. At that very moment, my breathing completely stopped. At the outer corner of the baby girl's right eye, there was impressively a pink birthmark resembling a peach blossom petal, exactly the same as Nanan from our previous life. Nanan, my eyes turned red. My voice was so choked I couldn't make a sound. Scalding tears dripped on the edge of the swaddle. The dead end of destiny has finally been completely shattered. Love will eventually, at the end of time, be able to continue lifetime after lifetime